On November 18, 1978, 918 Americans died in a jungle clearing in Guyana. The official story calls it the largest mass suicide in history. But to understand how that story was sold, we have to go back to the beginning, to a small-town preacher with a silver tongue, a Klan family tree, and some very powerful friends who never appear in the Sunday school version. Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we follow the money, the handlers, and the bodies. This is part 1. How the ruling class quietly recruited, funded, and protected the man who would become their perfect controlled opposition. Curious yet? James Warren Jones is born in 1931 in Crete, Indiana, Klan country. His father is a disabled veteran and proud Klansman. Young Jim sells pet monkeys door to door and stages mock funerals for roadkill. By 15, he's preaching on street corners. By 21, he's pastoring his own church in Indianapolis, preaching integration and socialism in a state where the Klan still runs the Republican Party. Curious timing, the height of McCarthyism, when the FBI is desperate for informants inside any group that smells even faintly red. Jones obliges. Declassified files later confirm he was feeding names to the Bureau as early as the late 1950s. His reward? Protection. Local police look the other way when he starts bussing in black parishioners. Useful optics in a segregated city. By 1960, he's appointed director of the Indianapolis Human Rights Commission. A white preacher from Klan stock suddenly becomes the face of integration. Ask yourself, how does a nobody with zero political experience land a government post like that without powerful sponsors quietly clearing the path? 1965, Jones relocates the People's Temple to Ukiah, then San Francisco. Perfect timing for the summer of love and the rise of radical politics. He offers what the state refuses: free childcare, drug rehab, senior homes, food banks, all funded by members signing over welfare checks, deeds, and life savings. Within a decade, the temple controls an estimated $1 to $2 billion in today's money and a private army of loyal followers. But the real currency is political. Jones delivers thousands of warm bodies to rallies, precinct walks, and ballot boxes. 1976, he helps elect George Moscone mayor. In return, he's appointed chairman of the San Francisco Housing Authority. Again, a nobody with a sketchy past handed massive power overnight. He's photographed with Rosalynn Carter, Walter Mondale, Angela Davis. Harvey Milk writes him glowing letters. Cynical observation: every rising California Democrat owes Jones a favor, and every favor creates leverage. The temple runs voter fraud on an industrial scale: absentee ballots, forged signatures, bust-in voters. The press looks away. Why? Because Jones owns half the city's social services and can turn out a rent-a-mob on demand. In a stateless society, charity is voluntary. In a statist one, it's a protection racket with better PR. Jones doesn't just work domestically. 1960, he visits Cuba right after the revolution, officially to study socialism, unofficially to network with intelligence assets. 1962 to 63, he's in Brazil during the CIA-orchestrated coup that overthrows Goulart. Coincidence? His traveling companion is Dan Mitrione, later infamous for teaching torture techniques to Latin American police, courtesy of USAID's Office of Public Safety, a known CIA front. By the early 1970s, investigative reporters are circling. Stories of beatings, financial scams, fake healings, sexual coercion. 1973, 8 temple members defect and go public. Arrest warrants are prepared. Suddenly, Jones announces the Promised Land, a socialist agricultural project in Guyana. Prime Minister Forbes Burnham, installed in a 1964 CIA MI6-backed coup against socialist Chetty Jagan, personally approves 4,000 acres of jungle. Burnham's Guyana is broke, dependent on IMF loans, and needs collateral. Jonestown will become a penal colony, a forced labor farm, and most importantly, a place far from U.S. subpoenas. Curious how a wanted cult leader gets diplomatic cover, free land, and radio frequencies from a sovereign government. Even more curious, the first temple reconnaissance team to Guyana in 1974 is led by a woman whose husband works directly for the CIA station in Georgetown. By 1977, the New West magazine expose is about to drop. Jones boards a plane with hundreds of followers and millions in cash. San Francisco officials beg him not to leave. They'll lose their vote machine. He leaves anyway. The same politicians who once toasted him now denounce him as a dangerous cult leader. Funny how fast the script flips once the asset is no longer useful on home soil. So by 1978, Jim Jones is no longer the useful socialist poster boy. He's a liability with tapes, files, and 1,000 witnesses who know too much. What happened next in that jungle clearing was not a mass suicide. It was a controlled demolition of evidence. Part 2, Jonestown. The CIA's laboratory in the jungle, and the congressman who flew in to expose it and never flew out. Subscribe and ring the bell if you want to see how far the rabbit hole really goes. This is the Stateless Standard. The torch is lit.